so all the tourists were just gone.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of See Slovenia, where we've parked the sort of western side of Slovenia, which was quite sunny, for the slightly cooler north region, which is kind of in the heart of the Julian Alps, if that's how it's spelled, and you can see some of the mountains up here. Now in particular there is one little place that looks very picturesque over my other shoulder now. This wasn't thought very carefully. Over here, and that is one of the nicest lakes you will probably ever see in your life. And I'm going to go a little bit closer now and tell you more about it. This is Lake Bled, probably one of the most iconic views in all of Slovenia. This is very popular with tourists, and it's known for its crystal clear water with a sort of bluey greeny tinge. It's rather lovely stuff, especially with the sun out as it is currently. Now let me talk you through a little bit of the geography here on Lake Bled. We are 35 miles away from Ljubljana, of course the capital of Slovenia, which we'll be looking at in more detail in the next episode of See Slovenia. We're on the outskirts of the Triglav National Park, which we'll be heading to a little bit later on in today's programme. Now there are glacial and tectonic origins of this lake. That's how it was formed, by presumably the glaciers melting at the end of the ice age, and they formed to create a lake. Now the lake is 2 kilometres by 1.3 kilometres wide and long, and it's just about 30 metres deep, which is quite shallow, I suppose, for a major lake, wouldn't you say? So we've got the crystal water, we've got the lovely mountains in the background of the Julian Alps. We've got a castle, we've got a church, we've got boats, we've got everything that could possibly make a great ingredient for See Slovenia. It's fantastic. Although there is one thing missing, and that would be flying buttresses. Yep, sorry, none today, folks. Maybe next time. Now, yes, very much the most popular destination with tourists here in Slovenia, and we've got a lot of rowing boats out on the lake, and rowing is very commonplace on Lake Bled. But the main reason for all of the rowers is that at the minute, or later on this week, when we're filming this that is, the World Rowing Regatta is taking place. So very popular with the rowers, and you can see why they picked this as a destination. Very still water, very little in the way of wind, beating sun, and a beautiful background as well. It's fantastic. Now we're going to sort of work our way around this area a little bit, and we're going to try and get up near the castle up there, and I'll talk more about that later on. But for now though, I want to talk about this island. This is Bled Island, and it's in the middle of Lake Bled, and it's also known as Blejski Otok, which obviously means Bled Island in Slovenian. Now on the island we've got a couple of interesting buildings, but the main one of note, which you can see from here, is the church, and that is the Church of the Assumption of Mary, or at least I am to assume that that is the case. See what I did there? It was built in the late 17th century and is known for its Gothic frescoes dating back to the end of the 15th century. So obviously the frescoes predate the church by a couple of hundred years. Now sticking out above the church there is the bell tower, and that's 52 metres high. and it's got 99 steps all the way to the top. Now, why didn't they just make it 100? My OCD kicking in there, and that is a very odd thing for them to have done. Anyway, now weddings are very commonplace in this church, as they are with any other church, and it's a bit of a tradition for the groom to carry the bride up the steps of the church to ring a bell after they get married, and they wish good luck, and they make a wish for good luck. That's said to be the case. Now, I could probably assume, I hope that's not 99 steps all the way to the top of the bell tower, because poor old groom man will be a little bit knackered by the time he gets to the top. Now I can see why they didn't go for the 100. Now let's continue our look around Lake Bled, and indeed this wonderful, beautiful area of Slovenia. A bit of a windy drive has brought us all the way up to Bled Castle, where we get our first look up close of this work of Renaissance art. It's nothing to do with the Renaissance era, but it is a Renaissance in this programme because it has breathed new life into it. Now this is a picturesque white and red castle, which is enclosed by a Romanesque wall. It's Romanesque, not Renaissance, you see. And we've got plenty of old walls, parapets, ramparts. Together they make a parapet. No, they don't really. And also towers as well. Now we can see one of the towers. Let's see if we can go a little bit further on up and get a closer look, and I'll tell you more about the castle from there. Well, we appear to be on top of, well, the old drawbridge, it looks like, because if you go down, you will see a little bridge with chains and things. Now you can imagine maybe once upon a time there was a little moat in there, but there's no moat there anymore, sadly. Just a little bit of a gap. Now if we continue further on around this way, we will see more of the old castle.
Hello. Hello.
This current castle dates all the way back to the 17th century and was restored as recently as in the 1950s. Now we've got a great view. Sadly we're not paying €10 to get into the castle, but we've got a nice view of the Julian Alps. Fantastic stuff. Now I'll continue to talk about the castle because really that's what we're here for. And the upper courtyard inside includes a 16th century chapel, which is decorated with frescoes, including a painting of Henry II. Discussing with Bishop Olburn about Bled. He must have been a local bishop or something. Inside the castle is a small museum with an exhibition about the castle, and there's also a bit about the area's history as well. Not that we don't, but this includes weapons and the like. So now there is a terrace of the castle. Would you say this is probably the terrace of? Who knows? Well, this gives us a nice view of the lake, you see, and we get a nice elevated view. So if you come around here, we will see a lot of rowing boats. A lot of rowing boats out there, of course, for this regatta. But it shows you how blue the water is from up here. I mean, we can see it from ground level, but also up here as well. It's a lot more blue than a lot of the other water. Now, in addition to this castle, there is a cellar inside, and that's run by a monk called Andre. Only here in Slovenia would you get a cellar in a castle run by a monk called Andre. And apparently he gives you all this sort of local razzmatazz and stuff. Very good, I hear, but well, not much just for us today, is it? So we're going to continue now on our merry way, because further on round we've got the Triglav National Park, which is kind of the main national park in all of Slovenia, and it's a protected area that covers a lot of the Alps and a lot of the mountains and a lot of the scenic view. I think it's over this way actually, so we'll leave you for now with a shot of the rolling green hills with the steep mountains in the background. Some rolling green hills now, not too far away from the Vinkar Gorge, and it gives me an opportunity to tell you a local mythical story, which is kind of, well, it's taken from the source that is mythical from Wikipedia actually. So, right, once upon a time there was a camwaz, or an antelope if you will, and it was called Goldhorn. Now Goldhorn roamed the Triglav mountains near here, and Goldhorn had, rather predictably, gold horns, which were said to be the key to treasure hidden somewhere in these magical mountains. Also at this time there was a young and brave hunter all the way from the Trenta Valley who fell in love with a beautiful girl and won her heart by bringing her beautiful flowers, yes. Now one day there was a rich merchant came all the way from Venice and he tried to win this girl over, terrible shame, and steal her attention by dancing with her and giving her some golden jewellery. But as the hunter approached the girl, she mocked him and he left and he went off in a bit of a huff. And angry, the hunter was persuaded to find the treasure, so he set about finding Goldhorn. In the morning they found Goldhorn and they shot him. This was the hunter and his friend. Dying, Goldhorn dragged himself onto a narrow rocky ledge, probably not too dissimilar, just down there somewhere, say. And yes, poor old Goldhorn. But suddenly the young hunter saw the most beautiful healing flowers grow up from the midst of the rocky ground they were on. And the hunter realised that this wasn't going to end very well, because Goldhorn had made his way. He dragged his corpse onto the healing flowers, where he was clearly intent on eating them so that he could make himself better. Goldhorn, in fact, well, the hunter tried to stop him, but it was all too late. So Goldhorn ate the flowers and miraculously recovered, then ran towards the hunter, but as it did so, the hunter was blinded by the sun now glistening off the golden horns. And as the sun glistened off the golden horns, poor old hunter man fell from the mountain, fell to his death, where he hit a rocky bit at the bottom, and it was very sad. And the girl was waiting for her lover to return, but alas, the lover did not return alive anyway. He returned dead, floating down the river, a bit like this one, in a corpse. It was all very nasty, but it did have the little Triglav rose in his mouth. And they all lived happily ever, sorry, they didn't live happily ever after, of course, because the hunter died. Terrible shame. A harrowing story indeed. 4 kilometres now northeast of the town of Bled, we come to a gorge. This is truly gorgeous indeed. No, it's actually just one gorge. It is known as the Vintgar Gorge, and it includes, well, this isn't the main part of it, this is very much one of the parts of it, and it's a section of a rapid little river, which goes all the way through. In fact, this is the Radnova River, and it's got waterfalls sort of much of the way along here. There's a wee mini one over there. And also here we've got a 1.6 kilometre long wooden walkway which kind of goes through the gorge, and it was built in 1893. It's been rebuilt several times since, and the intention of that to get people like ourselves up close and personal to this particular gorge. Now this is yeah, there's a 16 high Shum waterfall it's called, so let's see if we can find something like that. I don't know where it is. Further on down the Vintgar Gorge, we come to a section of steep rapids. Well, I say steep, fast rapids, or rapid rapids as I like to call them, because the water has clearly trickled down and it's now come through a section of waterfalls where it is being sped all the way up. Now, still no sign of the 15-metre high waterfall that we were promised, but yes, a bit of a news on that one. You've got to pay €5 to get through, and you know what I'm like, that's not going to happen today. So we've got this, and it is very exciting and it's very fast. Now also the water is very clear, and I've bottled up a section of water and I'll bring it out later, and I'll taste test it live on, well, literal. So we've kind of seen a bit of the Vintgar Gorge, and we're now going to head further on round, because the next place in our little road trip today is Lake Bohinj. It's a bit bigger than Lake Bled, and it's maybe not, well, there's a bit of a debate as to which one's the better one, so we'll let you decide, but that's where we're going next. How do I get back up? Ooh. That was easier than anticipated. Now, not too far away from some of the other lakes, well, the other lake we've been to, Lake Bled and the gorge thing we were at earlier, we come to another fantastic landmark. In fact, probably a bit of a, I know I said earlier that Lake Bled was the best lake in Slovenia, possibly the world. This one's a pretty fine rival, as you can see. Part of the Triglav National Park, and this is an area of 880 kilometres squared, which is actually 4% of Slovenia's total landmass, believe it or not. Now in the park are 59 species of plant. We've also got lots of fish and lots of birds and lots of other stuff as well. But for now I'm more interested in this church behind me. So we'll see now what that looks like up close. So behind the bridge that we were looking at earlier, we come to a fascinating looking church. This is the Church of St. John the Baptist with well, a rather elegant bell tower. Very much Orthodox in style. Whether or not this is an Orthodox church, I'm not entirely sure. But it's got Baroque and Romanesque genre of style of architecture, and it dates back to the late 10th or possibly the early 11th centuries. Nobody's not quite sure. Now on the outside of the building are four frescoes or paintings. One of them here we can see, and all four of these depict St. Christopher. Not sure why, but here he is holding a child above his shoulder with something in the other hand. I'm not quite sure again. Now this is said to be the most photographed church in all of Slovenia, and it's not hard to see why, with Lake Bohinj in the background, this in the foreground, no, the other way around, this in the background, that in the foreground. It's a lovely place to be, really. And yeah, it's a rather nice looking building. Again, the frescoes sadly are starting to show a little bit of wear, because the paint's starting to wear off a little bit, but I like what they've done with the paint on the bell tower. The little coloured edges give it a nice little twist that we haven't quite seen so far in Slovenia. So let's talk a little bit more about the lake now. Now stepping out into the sunlight under this wonderful bridge, let me talk to you a little bit about Lake Bohinj. It's the largest permanent lake in all of Slovenia at 790 acres or 318 hectares. Did I get that right? I don't know, we'll see. Whichever one is the larger one is 790 of either acres or hectares, and then you know what to do. Now the lake is inside the whole Triglav National Park area, and the Triglav National Park was basically founded to protect the area surrounding Mount Triglav, which is the tallest mountain in Slovenia. And sadly, because it's so well protected, we haven't actually been able to find it today. But it is unique and identifiable in that it's got 3 heads, and that's actually where the name comes from. Triglav means 3 heads. So anyway, enough about Mount Triglav for now. This lake is my goodness, those bells fairly go on, don't they? Anyway, the lake is 2.6 miles long by 0.62 miles wide at its widest, and it's a glacial lake, so again another one formed by a melting glacier. In the 18th century, Belsazar Hakwit discovered that more water actually exits the lake than comes into it. Don't ask me how he discovered that, but it must be magic. No, I think he really discovered that there are more sources underneath the surface, and that's where the water comes from. This is a bit of a haven for fishermen, not in this particular section of the lake because there aren't any fish there, but in other parts there are brown trout, burbot, chub, common minnows, arctic char, mollusks and algae.
Fish.
Oh, you said fish? Oh, there are fish. Okay, well there you go. So it's still going on. My goodness, anyway. Also very popular with swimmers, as you can see. As you can't see because none of them are out. So there you go, that is a little bit about Lake Bohinj. Now we've seen quite a lot in today's programme. I did promise this earlier, I bottled up a little bit of water. What did you find? Yes, I bottled up a little bit of water earlier on, as you well know, it was from one of the rivers that went into Lake Bled, so let's see how this goes. It tastes good, pretty clear. In fact, obviously I've already tried this, or else I wouldn't have done it on camera. It is safe to drink. It has been well filtered. Very Bear Grylls like today. Anyway. Now we've also, oh my word, we've been to Bled and we've got the t-shirt. We've been there and got the t-shirt. We've been to Bled and got the t-shirt. That didn't get any reaction off it. Anyway. Now it's time to head on from Lake Bohinj. We've seen this place a lot. We've been bled dry for things to do around about these watery places, and it's time to head altogether somewhere different. Not too far away from here is the fourth largest city, I suppose, in Slovenia. It is Kranj. Now in the city of Kranj, we've got a bit of a prism effect thing going on here with different coloured lights, red, green, blue, and they're all focusing on me in the middle here at the minute. Now yeah, this is the, as said, fourth largest city in Slovenia, mainly industrial, but there are some very nice medieval buildings around here, and we'll check out one of them in a sec. Now at the very heart of the city is a well-preserved old town, and it's located at the confluence of the Sava River and the Cockra River. Now records say that there was once a town here called Kranj in the 5th century. It's gone back a while. And the name changed a few times in the following years, as the town and the country in fact passed into varying hands. And the current name derives from a Celtic tribe, not a Celtic tribe. That would be very much of the football variety. Known as the Carney. Now their name comes from the word Carno, meaning hill or peak, or a pile of stones for that matter as well. What? Oh yes, that's what we did, yes. Wonderful. Now during World War II, Kranj was a part of Nazi Germany. The Nazis came here and they dismantled the town's textile industry and replaced them with warehouses for creating, factories for creating aircraft. Now near the city there's a cemetery here with a mass grave from World War II, and that was a lot of innocent civilians that were killed by the Nazis and prisoners of war. Now yeah, before we move on, a bit of sea heritage here, because this town or city is twinned with a few other ones that we've been to before. Srce Novi in Montenegro it's twinned with, and also Pula in Croatia. It's also twinned with Oldham, but there are no plans at the minute to go there. Now don't forget you can get those on Sea Croatia and Sea Montenegro DVDs on sale now. Find out our Facebook page. So that's a little bit about that. We see a church down that way, so we're going to quickly have a look at that before we head on for good. Well, in the time it's taken us to walk from the main square, 200 metres or so, down to the main church, the bells are somehow still ringing, believe it or not. Crazy, I know. Now this is the, I'm not even going to bother pronouncing it in Slovenian, it is a bit of a mouthful. It is the St. Cantianus and Companions Parish Church. You've seen it on screen, so there's no need to read it in Slovenia. Now this is the largest church in Kranj and the seat of the Kranj parish and deaconess as well. Built in the 14th century. This is actually, I've just thought, the first church, well the second one we've seen in today's episode. We haven't had enough of them, so we're overloading on this. It measures 442 cubic metres of area, because that's a fact you really needed to know. And construction was commissioned by the Counts of Kranj, and because it was commissioned by the Counts of Kranj, that's why the maths in the city is very good. Oh, they're still going. Now if we have a look around the front, we've got some really old stonework. It really is a sight to behold. Indeed, this whole episode's been a bit of a sight to behold, but we've run out of steam, we have run out of time as well. So thanks very much for joining me on my tour today, and join me next time in Ljubljana, the capital city of Slovenia. For now though, it's goodbye.
I've been spending out the time, couple women by my side. I got sinning on my mind, sipping on red wine. I've been sitting here for ages, ripping out the pages. How'd I get so faded? How'd I get so faded? Oh, no, no, don't leave me lonely now. If you love me, how'd you never love? Ooh, color crimson in my it free my mind. This is how it ends. I feel the chemicals burn in my bloodstream, fading out again. I feel the chemicals burn in my bloodstream. So tell me when it kicks in. Well, tell me when it kicks in. Well, tell me when it kicks in. All the voices in my mind calling out across the line. All the voices in my mind calling out across the line. All the voices in my mind calling out across the line. All the voices in my mind calling out across the line. All the voices in my mind calling out across the line. All the voices in my mind calling out across the line. Tell me when it kicks in. That's so scars upon it. Tell me when it kicks in. Broken heart. Tell me when it kicks in. That's so scars upon it. Tell me when it kicks in. Broken heart. Tell me when it kicks in. That's so scars upon it. Tell me when it kicks in. Broken heart. Tell me when it kicks in. That's so scars upon it. Tell me when it kicks in. Broken heart. So tell me when it kicks in. That's so scars upon it. Tell me when it kicks in.